What's up, guys? Captain Negativity here, and now I want to talk to you about professions. Probably as the video title suggested, it's like, obviously this is why you clicked on it. Now, what do I think about World of Warcraft professions? I think they're interesting. That's not a positive or negative. So I got blacksmith and jewel crafting maxed out, okay? Played around with it quite a lot. Here, and also, like, obviously, I got all of these guys up. Now, main problem I have with professions is just how many materials and how many different materials you need. Also, there's absolutely no way primal chaos is you're gonna need like 50 primal chaos to craft a 392 legs, which is, by the way, it's 384, but because I can make it at like the highest level, it's gonna be 392, which, by the way, 392 is not even normal raid gear. So, here's the thing. So, if you do infuse with power, this one is for heroic, and this one is for mythic, supposedly. Yeah, because then you can add like about 10 item levels or whatever. So yeah, this will be heroic gear, this would be mythic gear, and this is not even normal gear because normal gear starts at like 398, I believe, or 396. So you can't even craft normal gear, which is fine. I'm okay with it. Don't get me wrong. I am okay with not being able to craft normal raid gear. My biggest issue is all of these materials. Look at this. Like, look how many different materials you need. Okay, bloody alloy, spark of ingenuity, primal chaos, primal molten core. Oh, molten core, Jesus Christ. Primal molten alloy. Where is it? Centaur's trophy necklace. I believe you just buy this. Black dragon seared alloy, which you create in order to create a 3-star. Like, you need a lot of fucking, like, you need a lot of shit. Then you have an essence of tear that you need, which requires artisan's metal. It's like, first of all, earth and soul, all these soul stuff, like fire soul, all that's like, first of all, way too many materials for people to keep track. This would be confusing as fuck for beginners, to the point where it's like, if you just start your journey into professions, you might actually be turned off because how many different materials you need. Okay, and a lot of them are bind on pickup. All right, this is bind pickup, this is bind pickup. Essence of Tears, bind of pickup. Black seared alloy. Oh, okay, that's not bind of pickup. I thought it was. Either way, so first of all, the material, in my opinion, way too many. Second of all, the relevancy of professions. So right now, first of all, you would need to grind your ass off and need a shit ton of materials to get to 100 out of 100. Okay, currently you only need like 50 in order to buy like the highest plans, which is fine. But then using those highest plans, which require a shit ton of materials, as I mentioned, to get to 100, because you need the specializations, basically all of them, right? You actually need all these specializations to get to like the 392. The reason you need, so for example, unless like you want just weapons or just armor, then it's like, okay, you can skip armor or weapon spinning, whatever. But like, let's say you want the highest level armor, so you need all of this, because you need the chest, you need the legs, all the, like, you know, all of your slots. Then you need specialty smithing. Okay, so you need to improve what's it called, improve the material. Is that special smithing or is it hammer control? Specialize in the art of blacksmithing, bolstering your ability to use your limited resources. Okay. Don't really need hammer control, I believe. 1 skill per point. Yeah, okay, never mind. So you do need it. Now again, you can also craft gear that increases your skill and inspiration, stuff like that. Which, you know, that's even more crafting, more bag spaces and stuff like that. So you can increase it a bit, so you don't necessarily have to use all of these right away, but you kind of do, right? Right now, in order to craft the best gear, like 392, I could not do this until I leveled all of it to max out, okay? And even then, if I use something like this, it will lower it down, so I have to use an essence of tier, right? And I believe if I have You know, if I infuse it with power, I would need to have the other materials as well. So even being maxed out, you would still need the crafting gear in order to make it the highest item level, which again, in and of itself is fine. Only problem with this is, and this is the biggest issue, this is a temporary system. As soon as the patch comes out, you would need more skill, more inspiration, and all that stuff in order to make even higher level gear. It's not like you can keep the gear that you have for crafting. You keep your 100 out of 100, and then every time a new raid comes out, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, well, let's make it like the 5-star, right? Or whatever it is, yeah, the 5-star. No, you're gonna have to recraft all of your crafting gear every patch. It's like a pain in the ass, right? A lot of materials. And the best part is, and this is probably my biggest pet peeve, in order to craft heroic gear or mythic gear, you need to have this material, which only drops from heroic raid boss or mythic raid boss. So let me get this straight. Again, I'm going to say the thing, and obviously there's like, you know, but let me get this straight. First of all, I am not even sure if you, the crafter, need to have this, or the guy making the work order who needs to have this, or it doesn't matter who has this. I would assume most times the crafter is not going to be the one who would offer up his material. It would be from the work order and would be a mythic raider wanting to buy this. Or alternatively, you craft it for yourself as a crafter. Though honestly, if you have that many materials to spare, you probably don't need the mythic raid gear. All right, the way I see it, if I'm doing mythic raiding, after like 2 or 3 weeks, I really don't need a crafted gear to supplement a slot. Plus, I'm probably doing mythic 15s. So is this another way to maybe fill up a slot? Yeah. Probably too expensive it will be, which we're going to talk about the expensive stuff. It's probably going to be either too expensive or it's not even going to be like that big of a deal for you. Right, unless you're like, again, top tier min-maxer for no reason, even though like as soon as you buy this, you'll probably get a replacement soon enough in Mythic plus 15 Vault or in the Mythic Raid. So again, right, like I don't know who this is really for. Honestly, I would have preferred if they made it so you can craft the Heroic or Mythic Raid gear and you can only have like 1 or 2 of them equipped at any time and that's it. And like remove these. Again, is it too, well, then be too easy. Make it harder with materials, that's fine. But having these kind of makes it a dumb point, where it's just like, well, in order to craft mythic gear, I need to do mythic raid. If I do mythic raid, I don't need the mythic crafted gear. So who is this for? You can't give it to alts. It's not BOE. It's not bind on account. There's really like no reason for you to even craft this. Overall, I would say majority of people are not gonna use the system to fill up their slots. Because unless you could have bought it. If you could buy it, if you could make it BOE, then this would actually make sense. Then I would be like, okay, this system is fine. I'm a mythic raider, and I'm a profession. I like professions, and I can sell gear that I make, and I can sell BOEs and stuff like that in the auction house, make a good chunk of money. Makes sense. Making BOP makes it pretty much irrelevant for, like, I would say 90% of the player base right away. 9% of players who are doing mythic raid, by the way. Okay, I don't see a heroic raider making a work order for mythic gear. You know, it's like, actually, no, I see that happening. I just don't see it being like something that would happen often, and I don't think people would be making those work orders very fast, because who can provide the material? The crafter would have to provide the material. I would say majority crafters who are gonna be like this adamant about it are probably not gonna have the material, because they're probably not mythic raiders, right? Again, mythic raiders are a very small percentage of the player base. So out of that player base, you would need people who also max out professions and have all of these materials available. You're asking for quite a lot from the player base. Okay, now, as far as this being expensive, to get to 100 out of 100, you need so many materials. You will literally bankrupt yourself, unless you're already like fucking loaded. But you will break yourself. It's kind of like in Shadowlands, in order to make the best belt, let's say, for a legendary, you would need to spend about, if you just buy the materials in order to craft, you would spend about 600,000 to 800,000 gold to get it to the max level, right? Because you need to also to keep crafting it for the, what's it called? You need to keep crafting it until you get the percentage up, so it levels the ranks up and stuff like that. Then you get rank 4, rank 5 or whatever. So you need to keep crafting it, which every time ranks up, you need more materials. So to get to the point where you can craft the highest legendary stuff would cost you about 600,000, like on a good day. Then selling the belt at that point, unless you're one of the first ones, and I was one of the first ones, and even then I couldn't sell a belt at like a decent profit margin. Within 2 weeks, the profit margin for the items was almost non-existent, to the point where sometimes even the materials would cost you more than crafting the item, right? So if you sell your belt for 250k, the materials cost you 260k at some point. So unless you also like are a gatherer, which brings you to another point later on. So unless you're also a gatherer, it's going to be very hard for you to actually make a profit out of this. Okay. Now, here's this I don't understand. The year's 2022. How the fuck do we still only have 2 professions that one character can have, and that gathering professions are still a main profession? I legit cannot understand this. You know what? As a crafter, you can only have 2 crafting professions. Sure. But you know what? Crafting and gathering are 2 separate types of professions. They should not be a main profession. You should have 2 crafting professions. This is like on like the worst case scenario should be 2 crafting professions, 2 gathering professions, and honestly, in my opinion, all gathering professions. There's absolutely no reason for someone who can farm, like go and grab fucking plants off the floor, he can't mine at the same time. And he can't leather work at the same time. It's not like, if you think about it in real life, it's not even that big of a skill. Is it skillful? Yeah, but it's like the mines, it's not like you're working in a mine shaft. It's a fucking rock in the world, okay? You're just pickaxing it. You don't need to be that skillful to pickaxe that. It's not like you go to like 5 years of university to be able to fucking mine or to pick up herbs. It's so dumb. Just make gathering available for everyone. Everyone should be able to gather. Or at least give us like gathering profession outside of crafting profession. Because this is a joke. Right now, in order to do blacksmithing, I believe you also need something, or maybe jewel crafting. I believe you also need something from another profession that you clearly cannot do because you're limited so much. And you need to gather all of the fucking rocks. Or you can buy them, waste all of your money. Or you can have an alt that has all of those professions, which is so dumb. It's like, why have an alt to farm mats for the other character that can craft with it? It's just so dumb to me. It's like, why? Like, you're literally, like, this is not friendly to anyone. If I want to be a professional on a character, let me do professions. Especially in the day when I can just like go and learn this profession, learn a different one. So clearly, that it's not like there's a massive fucking barrier to entry to do other professions. There's absolutely no reason. Anyway, I went on this tangent for way too long. In my opinion, professions are just, the limitness of the professions is just so bad. Okay, material is gonna cost you way too much to level up. Yeah, we covered that. Overall, I would say this is also gonna be, like I said, very confusing. Okay, so let's just go to the conclusion. Is this gonna be a good crafting system? As a system, yes. Is this going to be something people really care about? I think this is at the level of BFA professions for high gear. And that being the case, it's gonna be fucking dog shit. These professions are probably the best iteration of professions they've ever had, as far as like involvements, but as far as like how cool it is and all that stuff, and like it's an actual like evolving system. However, this is gonna be a flop. straight up, no questions asked. This is definitely a flop system, as cool as it is, and whatever, as hopeful as you want it to be. The amount of materials you need, the amount of grinding you need in the world to get all these different materials to find draconic ore. So your gatherer has to be able to find 3-star draconic ore, 3-star Casgarite ore. Obviously, you can buy on the auction house, extremely expensive. In order for you to be able to do this on a 3-star level, you also will need, so these are all maxed out ingredients, and I'm still not at 3-star. I need an essence of tear, right, to make this a 3-star, which then, if this is not 3-star, I cannot craft 3-star for, let's say, my helm, right? And also I need bloody alloy at 3-star. So all of these, the 2-star, 1-star, 3-star, the barrier to entry, like how much you would need in order to craft the best gear is going to be so fucking expensive or so fucking tedious. There's absolutely no way any player is going to do professions. This is way, way, way too hard. Not in the sense that it's hard to do. Way, way, way too time consuming. Okay, in order for anyone to actually think this is a good system. Unless somebody roleplays as a fucking blacksmith in your server and he crafts all of the top level gear and he's the only one, I highly doubt you would ever even get anyone being able to craft the work order that you want. Unless you're playing on like one of the biggest servers, let's say Illidan or Zul'jin in North America for Horde. If you play on those servers, maybe you'll find someone to do a work order for your max item level mythic gear after a month or two of playing, which at that point you won't even need it. Anyways, that's my thoughts. I think this system is gonna be a massive flop. It is too complicated. It requires too many materials. The 120 primal chaos. By the way, let me tell you know what primal chaos is? You get 1 primal chaos per end of a heroic dungeon boss. I don't know if mythic bosses, like mythic dungeon bosses, will drop more of them. Maybe 5 a run. But needing this much primal chaos cannot like move past the beta. It has to be like maybe 5. There's no fucking way you're asking for 50 primal chaos, which is, I'm gonna assume, either 5 to 10 mythic dungeon runs or 50 heroic runs to make a piece of leg guards. Just think how many runs you need to do. How many fucking... Oh my god, if you want to craft a full gear set. Oh my god, I can't even imagine. Wait, and weapons I believe is even more, right? Yeah, 120. Just craft a weapon. Like, bro, no one's gonna farm this. Are you crazy? It's like, yeah, maybe like the one-off. Again, if you just want... Because here's the thing. If you just want the one craft at random... I'm going on a super tangent right now. You guys should have clicked off like 10 minutes ago. If you are going for the one-off piece, maybe you would have enough primal chaos to be like, here's the work order, here's the primal chaos, and here's like one of these guys. There's no way you have any of these unless you go to the auction house. And again, the 3-stars are going to be probably extremely expensive. The fire souls are probably going to be pretty expensive. Spark of Ingenuity, I don't even know where you're going to get that, because I don't even know what this is. I'm created by the engine of an innovation. It's probably something you buy from an NPC. I've created by the engine of innovation in Veldraken. It might be something you buy from an NPC. I'm not sure. But completely missed the mark with professions. First of all, make it way too complicated. It's going to be way too expensive to level. And because it's so expensive to level, people are going to overprice the fuck out of it because it took them so long. But then, you know, materials are going to be so expensive, so you're going to have to profit margin it, and it's like you're barely going to make any profit out of your profession unless you have multiple characters that are gatherers and crafters. Right? I don't know. I feel like this is BFA flop 2.0. The professions BFA were dog shit, and I believe this would be about at the same level. Are there more options? Yes. Is it any good? Not really. Can't wait for people to say I am wrong, and can't wait to prove them right when the expansion comes out. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Peace out.